What is up, everyone? I'm Andy. That's Nathan. And that is Miranda Maverick, friend of the show, the very first professional fighter to come on and hang out with us. You probably don't even realize it, but you're a legend on our show. We're big fans of yours. I do want to start off by asking you a very important question. I know it's on the minds of everybody. How did you fit so many shirts into one envelope that you sent me? I mean, this, there is more tape holding this thing together. Like I opened it and it was just like a spring, like bang, shirts just everywhere. It's very impressive and I appreciate it.
Thank you. Well, I didn't have any other package, and I wanted to send yours out at the same time I did everybody else's because, that's only fair. And yeah, Walmart was out of bigger packages except for huge boxes at the time. I gave up.
So funny. My wife came into my office and was like, here are your shirts. So yeah, that was very funny. So, well, let's get into your career. You started early. Your first amateur fight, you were 18 years old. Is that correct?
That's correct. Yes.
Were you
in high school?
Yes. Well, actually, I had just gotten out of high school. It was the semester that I started college.
Wow. So, how old was the person you fought?
The first person I fought, let's see, who was it? I think she at the time was 26 or 27. Wow. The oldest person I fought at 18 as an amateur was 36. She was double my age. And we joked about it afterwards. And the sad thing is my amateur career, at least, I'd say 3/4 of those girls never fought again because they basically gotten their butt kicked by a, little girl kind of. And now it's sad because some of them are like still like following me or friends, and they're like, dang, I wish I would have known you would have been so good. I might not have quit so soon. And I was like, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Nathan, you wanted to ask about the tournaments.
Yeah, I noticed that you had partaken in the Invicta tournaments and actually won it. And so I just wanted to get your kind of opinion on what you feel about the tournaments. Do you like them? Do you think, it's something that, UFC might implement in the future? That sort of thing.
I kind of hope not, just because for me, I was frustrated, honestly, about the 2 fights not counting on my record. I think maybe if they counted, I would have felt a little bit differently. And people are like, well, it was only 1 round. It's not fair. I'm like, that's fair. But if I finish it in the 1 round, I think that's a little bit of a different story. But overall, it was fun. It was thrilling, of course. That was the biggest part of it. It was the adrenaline was nothing like I've ever experienced before. And of course, people are like, well, it's just like a title fight. And I'm like, no, it was only 5 rounds, but having 30-minute breaks in between is pretty hard to manage. And that damage that you pursue with fresh people every time is a little bit harder. But it was fun. For sure, I'd do it again if I had the opportunity and it was that much of a bonus, going into it. That would be cool, I guess. Of course, the first technically tournament that they had was another flyweight one where they had a fight, and then after you won that night, it was in a bracket, and then you would fight the next person. And that first time I was slated against Deanna Bennett, and I lost. And then against the second tournament, which was cool, I ended up fighting her and beating her in the finals.
That's awesome. I would look at, I don't know if UFC changed it and counted those 2 because they have you at 9-2 right now. I think I just checked the website, and then other places have you at 7-2. But
it's really confusing for me. It's technically either 8-2 or 10-2 right now after the Liana Jojua fight. And UFC announcers will say one thing, my record will say another, then news articles. So I go with the highest one when I tell people, but I think I think it's officially 8-2.
I'll go with 10-2. I'm on your side. Yeah. I'm on your side on that. They all count. So, I want to say hi to a couple guys: Tiago, Chance, Jay, John, Lonely, Octopus, Illuminatis. Thanks for joining us. And Miranda, they all say hey. Your very first fight against Jojua, that had to be strange with no fans as your first fight. Like I'm sure you had a picture in your head of what the first fight was going to be like, and then there's no fans. I almost wonder, is it harder with no fans or is it harder with fans?
I'm not sure. For me, because it was during COVID and I kind of had a whole year warming up to that idea, I already expected that it was going to be that way. So it wasn't a huge shock to my system or anything. And not only that, but because I had never fought for the UFC before, it it wasn't like it was a different scenario, you know, so I'd never had it either way, so it wasn't a big deal. But for me, when I go into the cage, like it's just me and that opponent and her coaches and my coaches. I try to listen to those people. So it's like 6 people I'm listening to in total. That's it. So it wouldn't have really mattered in my performance, I think, if people were there or not there. Of course, you want to satisfy fans. You want to be there for entertainment. So it's really exciting and helps hype up the fight when fans are there. But I don't think it affected my performance.
Was it cool being able to go out to what was it? It was
Abu Dhabi.
Dubai, right? Yeah.
Yes, that was really cool because I had never been out of the United States before. It was COVID, so because it was locked down, we kind of got private beach to ourselves kind of thing, a whole hotel that was just super nice. So that was a really good experience, and of course everything was just like 5-star service and everything else. So it was a really neat experience from the food to the people.
What made you decide that was the time to enter UFC and take that? Was it the opponent? Was it the opportunity? Was it just
I'd say it was the opportunity. They kind of decided. I would have jumped at any opportunity, to be honest. I had several. I don't know how in detail I'm allowed to talk about, but I had several calls up to the UFC before that just didn't work out. Mainly not from me saying no, but sometimes I said no. My first call that was serious, like as far as for a contract, was like a week after that tournament I had. But I would have had to jump up a weight class to take a short notice fight within a week. And I just decided not to do that based on like family guidance and coach guidance. Part of me wonders if I should have taken that, but I'm glad that it turned out the way it did.
Yeah, the Jojua fight, that was our first introduction to watching you live. And I was in the first minute, I was like, she looks a little nervous. And then it felt like something clicked and it was like, uh-oh. Somebody just turned a switch on and it was over. What was that first minute like? Because it looked like you were just a bit tentative and then you just made the decision, I'm taking this fight over.
Yeah, so it was funny because when I talked to my dad, which was the first person I called after my fight, he was like, right when he answered, there was, everybody screaming. And then as soon as that was over, he was like, what was that first 30 seconds though? You're giving me a heart attack. What was that? And I was like, I'm sorry, I got nervous. So I guess the reality hadn't quite hit yet that I was in the UFC. And when Bruce Buffer called my name, it was just like this flash of, oh shit, like I just didn't even know what to do. Like adrenaline and everything else went off, and I hadn't had that in a long time, like probably since my pro debut or so. Like I usually go in pretty emotionless, no anxiety, and that first 30 seconds was just me kind of being like, get your timing back, get your rhythm, get your head in the game. And once I found that timing, once I found my distance, I didn't get hit I got hit a couple times after that, but it wasn't really anything clean, and just took over the fight. And to be honest, I should have never gotten touched by her. She was slow, and I prepared for that. And it was kind of funny how many times I got hit there the first 30 seconds.
You said afterwards you were bummed that you didn't finish it while the clock was running.
I think I could have put hands on her and just like TKO'd her easily in the second round, but they wanted to stop it in the first, or between the rounds, I should say. That's fine by me. And the only reason it really upset me at all is just because the whole goofiness of fans of hers being like, well, this is controversial, and everybody saying how sexist the stoppage was and everything else. But there's always going to be that no matter what happens, even if I would have had that vice versa, I'm sure my fans would have said the same thing.
Yeah. Does Buffer contact you and work out how to say your name, or does he just wing it?
Okay, well, I met Buffer beforehand, actually, and he asked me if he was saying my name correctly. I don't know if that's normal. Mine isn't exactly hard to pronounce, so it's not that big of a deal. But I'm sure he does with the harder people, like reach out to him and ask.
And then walk me through actually, first, Nathan and I were both wondering, when you're training, like you were obviously training for your next fight, it gets canceled. When you train, are you concentrating just on your own style, or are you watching tape on your opponent and gearing up your game for them? What is training like for you?
I do it all. Just like I do in my studies and stuff. I want to get all angles, make sure I've studied as much as I can, and go into that fight with as much of an advantage as possible. So I do everything from watching her interviews, looking at her demeanor, watching her fights, and seeing how aggressive she is, her techniques she uses, all kinds of things I can do to get that advantage when I go in there. Not to mention like how big they are, their physicality. Like even for her, I look at, she's fought at a lot lower weight class than I have previously. I'm obviously the bigger person structurally. Okay, let's compare this, compare that. So I look at everything. I think it has a lot to do with fight IQ and going in there with as much advantage as possible, get as close as you can as cheating without cheating, I like saying so.
Yeah. I got a question in regards to, like, I heard that on your way over to the UFC, they found what you had two like retinal dislocations that you had to have fixed, and so changed your style of training from more of sparring to, I think, the drilling aspect and going through the motions. Is that kind of like, do you like that aspect and moving away from the more physical part of the training into more of the cerebral kind of like
Yeah,
repetition?
I don't even know if you'd say physical, but definitely moved away from the injuries a lot more. I'm definitely, I wouldn't say glad it happened, but it changed a lot of stuff for my training that I think was for the best. In the gym, we like toned it down a little bit. I spar with headgear constantly, which doesn't always help things, but especially with MMA gloves on and for actually getting hit in the eyes, it helps. But it still has like the damage to the brain and stuff. So we just toned down sparring a lot more. It's very technical sparring now that I do. And then I just work technique a lot. I work pad work a lot, which we did before too, but now it's even more one-sided. And when I was supposed to make my debut last June, they found those two retina tears. They were both in my periphery apparently, so I didn't have any idea about them, and it found out that it was actually really bad, and there was a high percentage I could have gone blind in each eye very quickly. So it's a very scary thing to have happen to me. I was told by several surgeons I would never fight again, much less be able to stare at a computer screen, so it was a very impacting, depressing time in my life, and finally found a surgeon that was kind of okay, I guess, with letting me fight, because the problem is they have to clear you, or UFC medical clear you. So
Wow, that's crazy. I had no idea it was that serious. That's pretty amazing.
yeah, it was pretty serious. I thought pretty much that I wouldn't say my life was over, but that aspect of my life was over.
Huh. So you go through the training for Jillian. What's your mindset going into that week? I saw some interviews with you and you seemed pretty confident. So what was game plan and mindset before the fight got canceled?
Well, I won't say game plan because there's still a good opportunity that we're going to be fighting very soon.
Oh, good.
But the mindset going into it was just supreme confidence. I always like walking in with supreme confidence. I'd say ever since that tournament, actually, I've just had so much confidence walking into fights now. I finally figured out kind of who I am and what my potential is. And my dad always says if he could take a video game controller and control each fighter, he'd always pick my body type, my style. And I'm like, yeah, I guess I would too if I'd actually do what I need to do in there, And I finally let go with my hands this last fight against Joshua, and I'm just getting better with that every single time. And now that I kind of finished her with my hands, I have a lot more confidence standing and when I'm sparring and stuff. So I like seeing a better version of me every time I step into that cage. And that was just the ultimate goal with Jillian too. I think I'm the more physical of us both by far. I think I have a lot of size on her, but also I think I have that fight IQ on her, even though she technically has octagon experience. But I don't think she's ready for the pressure I bring in the cage. She definitely doesn't want to spar with me. She's made that clear that she doesn't want to stand up and strike with me. And I'm predicting that and waiting for that and really excited if that happens.
Do you know if you're going to be able to fight her again? I understand if you can't say.
I can't say yet. Right now, actually, there's nothing officially planned, so that's not the case. But we are trying to find dates that work for that.
What was it like when you got the news? Where were you?
I was very angry. Yeah. To be honest, as soon as she actually messaged me on Instagram before I found out from UFC. She wanted me to know from her first, which I guess in one way is respectful, but in another way is very, it was very sudden and like what. And I was just about to turn off all my notifications too. It was about 20 minutes before I walked down to the Apex to go to the Apex, so it was very soon before the fight. It wasn't like anybody had any heads up. And all of a sudden it was like, oh, been sick since 4 a.m. And I was like, and you're telling us now? Like, I'm in my fight clothes. I had everything in the bucket ready to go. My coaches were getting dressed, like ready to head down. And then to find that out, I just like read the message and like threw down my phone real quick and started crying. And my dad was like, what? And I'm freaking out. And he reads the message and he's like, all right, calm down. This could be fake. And I was like, that's a stupid way to get me hyped up, fight you. Right? I was like,
it's like, that's some serious mental, like to screw with your opponent. Like, oh, fights off. Just kidding.
Stupid, though. It's not even like a negative for me. Now I'm just ready to kick your butt more. It didn't hurt me any. So I was like, nah, like she's not that kind, like maybe. And I was joking because Macy was there. And I like Macy, but I was like, maybe if Macy had sent that, I'd be like, no. But Robertson doesn't necessarily like get on there and talk shit or anything. So I'm pretty sure it was real. And so I messaged her back after I contacted one of the UFC people, and they were like, we haven't heard anything. No, come down here to fight. You should be down here in like 15 minutes. And I was like, okay. And so then I contacted my management. They got it all worked out. It obviously was canceled, and it was pretty upsetting. I get all the way down there, get ready to get paid, and no such luck.
Nothing. Oh,
I
man.
got paid a little bit. I got paid the show money, but it's not what I went there for. It was there to get the show money, to win money, and hopefully get a fight bonus the way I was preparing to win.
Well, I can tell you we were upset.
Yeah, I had a lot of people that were like, wait, what? A lot of people didn't even know until the next day, even though I made a post. Not everybody's on social media the whole time the fights are going on. My family was pretty upset. My dad, I got to spend time with him, so I was happy about that. But at the same time, that's the second time he's been on his way to Vegas to watch me fight and has never gotten to go in the octagon with me to this date. So.
Well, we've noticed something, and I don't know if they're doing it on purpose, but it seems like this year the first fight is one of the better ones. It seems like they're booking a really, really great fight, like at the beginning. So I don't know. Were you happy with that booking, that you were going to be the first fight of the night?
So I don't care, honestly. I really don't. If I were Jillian, I would have been mad. Because to be fair, I'm the new girl. Like, it's perfectly fine to have me on the very first part of the card. But she's like, previously was ranked, and they just one loss, and they shove her down to the first prelim fight. Like, seems kind of silly to me, but whatever. For me, though, honestly, as far as nerves go, I'd love to be the first fight and just get it out of the way and be done and go be able to eat supper somewhere that's not at midnight.
Nathan, you want to ask about school? I know this.
Yes, I have a
this
question. I just want to know, okay, so you're in the school. I assume you're close to being done. Maybe a little bit, take like, now it's like lowering your credits to train more. And so I heard that you were getting your PhD in industrial and organizational psychology. What is that?
So first, I'm not almost done. Well, I'm technically almost done. I see it as almost done. I've been going to school pretty much my whole life. So like percentage-wise, we're almost done. But I'm sick of going to school. But I should have all of my actual classes for my PhD done by this December, hopefully. So that's exciting. But other than that, I still have my dissertation. I still have my qualifying exams, which determine if I can even go get my PhD, basically, which people don't exactly know about that. But I actually don't even have my master's yet. I'll be having it hopefully this semester. I'll be done with my thesis, but all my courses are pretty much complete for my PhD. So it's kind of like an accelerated program. I do both at once and just get one and then the other. So yeah, that's how that's going. As far as what IO psychology is, it's kind of like business psychology is the simple way to put it. So I study like statistics within organizations, but mainly focused around employees. So like employee satisfaction, outcomes within the organization, and how to improve those to in turn help organizational production, cost and risk analyses. So like if they hire a crappy person, they're wasting that much income on somebody who's not helping the company. So my job would be to be a consultant, basically go in there and save them money by finding the right employees for them, doing the right testing, and doing a whole job analysis for the place.
Now, do you think that, I was going to say, do you think that education has played a part in giving you some advantages in the fight game?
I'd say so. For one, like I feel like I can manage stress a lot better than most people I know. People like to joke about with school, but I realistically feel like I could easily be a parent and go do fighting better than I can do other stuff right now. Like I'm teaching school, I'm going to school, and I'm fighting full time. And last year I had a part-time job along with that because I had to pay bills. So it's rough. But I think that and the fight IQ in general, I don't know if it has to do with my major necessarily, but I feel like I'm an intelligent person. I feel like I speak very well, and I think that also helps me within the fight game. When you're a little church mouse in there and being quiet, it doesn't exactly help with the entertainment industry.
Who are your coaches?
Jake Chamberlain, who owns the House of Muay Thai here in Norfolk, Virginia, and Mackin Simmerser, who is the jiu-jitsu instructor there, but he also was a UFC fighter back in his day, fought Cub Swanson and a few other big names.
Nice. What was the connection there? What brought you to those guys? And
Um,
obviously you like them a
uh,
lot.
Graduate school.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, so I moved out here to Old Dominion University for school. I actually decided my grad school based on the gyms that were close by and what they had to offer, and this seemed like the best gym around here, and I believe it is as far as training. And I've definitely improved my striking a lot since I've been here, and the jiu-jitsu's just notched its way up as well. I went from jumping in, trying to take somebody down and submit them real quick, to learning how to control and beat somebody up before I finished a fight. So.
Yeah, what do you think of the division that you're in? Nathan and I were kind of looking over it, just looking over it from top to bottom, seeing some of the different talent and skill levels. What do you just think about it overall in general?
I think it's sporadic. I don't think we have a solid top 10 as far as like, here's the consistent top contenders, you know? I think every time somebody fights, one person gets in new and an old person goes out. It's just like the top 10's changing constantly, which is kind of ridiculous. But I also think it's because we really don't have that many like contenders in the division as far as like who are actually the best of the best. And I'd be ready to really fight anybody other than Valentina. I think I need a little bit more experience under my belt. I want to go in there with ultimate confidence, just like I do with everybody else. And I think everybody has some room to improve. But I definitely think I'm not at my peak yet. I'm 23 and I have a lot to where I can grow. I see that between every fight. And I want to be at that peak when I fight Valentina.
Yeah, I mean, you could technically beat sisters.
So I definitely have been calling out the fight for Antonina or Caitlin Chukagian. Those are the two fights that I want the most. But I'm at the point where I love any fights. Once I get into where I'm fighting the top 10, which I wouldn't doubt is pretty soon, they seem to be hyping me pretty well, having this fight against Jillian. I doubt I'm going to go from fighting Jillian to somebody who just got off the Contender Series. But who knows? That would be nice for me just because I could work my way up the ladder a little bit slower and smarter. But I doubt that's going to happen. If they're going to give me somebody in the top 15, top 10 after that, I'll be ready for that challenge as well. But I don't see a lot of girls in there that I would, see as a huge, oh no, I've got to fight them fight.
Do you get much input in the fights, or do the matchmakers just tell you who you're fighting?
I mean, they give you offers. I see it as one of those things where you better take it. Right? You don't really get to say no. Before I got into the UFC, it was a little bit more picky on my end because I was getting offers quite often, and most of them were pretty short notice. And I was like, yeah, I'm just getting fed to the wolves here, or at least that's what they're trying to do. And I didn't want like a one-fight contract. You never want to enter the UFC on that, So I waited for that 4-fight contract to roll around, took my chunk out of it, and here I am.
That's awesome. That's really good. Well, I know we can't wait to follow your career. You're going to be around for a while. So, Nathan, we got about 5 minutes left. Anything else?
No, I think I've asked all the questions I need to ask. I mean, congratulations on your debut win. Good luck with your, to the rematch or whatever, the rescheduling of the Julian Roberts fight.
Thank you.
Yeah, this was a lot of fun. Hopefully we can do it again sometime. Thank you for the shirts. I did not expect that many to be ordered, to be honest with you. That was a little bit more money than old Andy anticipated.
Yeah, I didn't exactly know what you had meant at first. I was like, oh, wow, this is a lot of orders. Fine, great.
Well, if it's going to go to somebody, we'd like it to go to you. So,
yeah,
go ahead.
You making an exception for the autograph pictures were sent out too. So sorry to all the watchers who ordered an autograph shirt. I had a lot going on and had a lot of other orders.
Well,
and I
explain
literally
it.
taped up the packages, took them to the post office, got back home, and was just like light bulb went off. And I was like, no. And I called the post office and they were like, they've already been taken to the back and processed. And I was like, no. So sorry.
You're forgiven. You're forgiven. So, Jim says hi. Trance Illuminati's. Scott says he got his just the other day. So really, really appreciate it. I know your schedule is really tight, so we'll let you go here a few minutes early. Can't wait for your next fight. If you win, promise you'll come on again.
All right, will do. And let everybody know to follow me, especially on Instagram at FearTheMaverick_HOMT. Especially if you got a shirt, you should tag me and post a picture.
Yeah, take pictures of yourselves. I mean, I'm sure she wants a bunch of overweight middle-aged guys posing in her shirts.
Yeah.
Sure, I'm sure Instagram's gonna love that.
Hey,
Mhm,
no, I'll
like.
share it anyway.
All right.
All right, thanks, Miranda. Good luck.
you.
Have fun in
Thank you.
school. Have fun fighting. We'll see you next time.
School's no fun, but I'll have fun fighting. Thanks.